For some, it's a noble failure. For others, an insult to a cinematic legacy. But to me, Alien 3 is an epic conclusion to a filmic holy trinity, a masterpiece of science fiction storytelling, art design, performance, and tone. A film that pulls you into the decaying morass of this vision of humanity, this bleak, uncompromising future from which life cannot escape, where death is the only ever true release from its alien horrors. This video is my love letter to one of the most misunderstood sequels of all time. A sequel that has been studied since its turbulent conception, monstrous production, and cold reception from audiences at the time of release. A sequel that has taken on a life of its own, and, much like the xenomorph itself, has been moulded into a new form, analysed by fresh audiences and mourned by others for what it still could have been. This video is about why I love Alien 3. The first time I saw the third Alien film, I was 12 years old, renting a barely touched DVD copy of the 1992 theatrical cut from my local video store. Even from viewing this badly edited, haphazardly reshot version of director David Fincher's original vision, I had already fallen in love. Its visuals washed over me, my eyes absorbing the on-screen canvases with an enthusiasm I had little experienced before. The tragic conclusion to the previous film's much beloved characters of Hicks, Newt, and Bishop was traumatizing, even insulting to fans such as myself. All of Ripley's hard-won work in saving them from the deadly LV-426 and the menacing alien horde had been undone in less than 5 minutes. A pitiful end, with little fanfare, a mockery of the story James Cameron had spun. And yet, my interest only grew. I soaked up this new tale, this morbid continuation of the franchise, eager to see where it would take me, eager to know how Ripley would once again escape from the clutches of the horrifying alien menace, how she would rebuild her life and find happiness once again, if that was even possible. I didn't know. I just kept watching and watching this dark story unfold, hungry for more, wanting to see as much as possible. With the release of the 2003 special edition, my prayers had been answered. A new cut, different, longer, more complex, broken in places but still somehow holding together. A cut which expanded on the characters and scenery, that altered introductions and motivations. A more complete, intact, creative vision, made by an apologetic studio that realised how badly it had treated its first time and future visionary director. This version would only heighten my love for the work undertaken, creating a new appreciation for what Fincher was trying to achieve all along, for what the character of Ripley truly deserved in what I consider to be the final chapter in this masterful cinematic trilogy. Why trilogy? Because the story of Ellen Ripley is so clearly defined into 3 chapters: birth, life, and death. The existence of the 4th film, Alien Resurrection, cannot be ignored and in some respects shouldn't be, but the first 3 films follow the story of the original Ripley, her journey, her growth, her suffering. The Ripley in Resurrection is a shadow of this persona, darker, twisted, more alien. The Ripley we have come to know and love is not this person, and this story is more a mutated outgrowth of the trilogy that I adore. A distant cousin, but not relevant to the first 3 films' narrative legacy. Indeed, looking at Alien 3 as the concluding entry of this trilogy, its story is a perfectly fitting one, an apt final tale of our heroine and her relationship with the alien creature, a final victory for humanity defeating the monster, but at a heavy cost. The story of the Alien films is Ripley's and Ripley's alone. Her struggle with the creature is a personal ordeal, whose burden can only be slightly eased by others, but never truly lifted. Her life and that of the xenomorph is conjoined, a macabre dance that only they can perform. The loss of Hicks and Newt, while brutal, is a perfect reminder that her battle with the alien has to be hers and hers alone. She cannot share it with friends. She cannot flee from it. It must be Ripley that faces the demon, no one else. Indeed, Her relationship with the creature is one of constant torment, summed up poignantly in a scene that shows Ripley at the end of her tether, no longer afraid of the monster, willing, finally, to accept death from it.
You've been in my life so long, I can't remember anything else. Now do something for me. It's easy. Just do what you do.
This point is made all the more sharp by the tragic death of Dr. Clemens, a lover who briefly reminds Ripley of her former life, of her former humanity, a person who wants to help her in her struggle, wants to support and believe her, but alas cannot. Surrounded by hard-nosed company men and aggressive inmates with violent delusions, Clemens was the last ray of sunshine available to Ripley in this faded world. Charles Dance's sympathetic performance is a rarity for the Alien franchise, with his own tragic backstory that Ripley can sympathize with. But when the two are at their closest, the alien, once again, tears her away from anyone who she could potentially build a life with, reminding Ripley of the consequences of becoming affectionate with someone when the xenomorph is close by. But affection, or perhaps more appropriately, respect, shines through from Ripley for the character of Dylan, a murderer and rapist of women in his former life who now embraces religion for absolution. His aggressive demeanor is punctuated by somber moments of spiritual reflection, viewing the presence of the alien as the beginning of the apocalypse as foretold by his faith. In Dylan, Ripley finds a leader amongst the others, an ally in the battle against the monster. Charles S. Dutton excels as the rugged, guarded Dylan, using his intimidating physical presence to corral his loyal followers into helping Ripley defeat the alien, whether they want to or not. To make matters worse, the alien's threat this time is even more personal than before. The Queen's final egg delivers a sinister royal facehugger, one which finally violates Ripley herself, impregnating her with a new queen embryo, growing inside her flesh every hour. A grotesque final insult inflicted upon the one person who has done more than anyone else to rid the universe of this species. Adding to this is the introduction of a new breed of xenomorph, a new type of monster that looks different, moves differently, more animal-like. Easily my favourite of all of the incarnations of H.R. Giger's genius vision, a beast considered to be a dragon by the inmate Golek, and the only alien to get close to Ripley in a way we've never seen before, a moment that would go on to being one of the most iconic shots from the entire franchise. Ripley's sacrifice, preventing the new queen from escaping into the harsh, grim world of Fury 161, is the magnificent final stroke, a fatal blow at the ubiquitous Weyland-Yutani Corporation and their greedy bioweapons division. Like a religious martyr, her suicide serves a higher purpose, a universe free from the alien threat, a monster removed from the nightmares of others, unable to impregnate and kill anyone else. No more victims, no more alien. On top of this pitch-perfect narrative is the film's wonderful design. The beautifully constructed vision of the barren world of Fury 161 greets us from the opening, showing us a grey, worn-down planet at the ass end of space, to quote Ripley. Its beaches, landscape, architecture are a mishmash of New Zealand director Vincent Ward's original concept for the film, a wooden planet populated by zealous monks, and the later ideas brought in by 20th Century Fox after firing Ward. A combination of Gothic revivalism and futuristic brutalism. Giant unused cranes dotting the shoreline, endless corridors of rusting metal, broken tiles, decaying cells, leaking pipes, creaking furnaces, howling, relentless wind, carrying with it a plague of lice. The entire planet and its correctional facility screams out oppression in its design. The term analog future is perfect for summing up this world. A distant future that still has CRT monitors. A future where computer interfaces are minimalist, basic, old. This is a version of the future as made in 1991 and 1992, and yet it doesn't date poorly. If anything, the design heightens the impression of a collapsing facility stuck on a dying world. The maze of tunnels and vents creates a sense of endlessness to the structure, a giant mechanical beast where the humans residing within are trapped. Jordan Cronenworth's brief tenure as cinematographer and later Alex Thompson's magnificent artistry speaks for itself. The lighting is stark, hostile, cold, and yet at times warm and delicate. The hues of brown and yellow heighten the rusting facility's age. Indeed, this brown-yellow color palette is what I remember most about the film's look. For me, it couldn't have been photographed any other way. The dull color tones add to the hopelessness of the inhabitants in this facility, enhancing the desire to flee from this awful place. The many pints of blood spilt seem to seep into the walls and floor, blending in perfectly with the surroundings. The antiseptic look of the mess hall stands out in contrast to this, a space unto itself, where the soft fluorescent lights above reveal to us the age-stricken faces of the remaining former inmates. A place to eat, to unwind and converse, and yet here too there is no safety. The alien reminding everyone of its own ferocity, killing the no-nonsense Superintendent Andrews with lightning precision. The sheer artistry of the sets on display and the way they were lit surely makes Alien 3 one of the greatest looking films of all time. The use of shadow and light paint a stunningly haunting canvas for us to observe, a techno landscape of metal, dirt, grime and decay that is a character in its own right. The camera at times edges in gently, a neutral witness to the horror and brutality on display. And then of course we see for the first time the alien's point of view, crawling and sprinting upside down, chasing its prey throughout endless corridors, picking off its victims one by one. Adding to all of this is the score, written by Elliot Goldenthal, one of my favourite film composers. His trademark French horns blare out creepiness and tension, provoking anxiety whenever there is a chase or a moment of death, tickling our eardrums before the shriek of more heavy brass. A quasi-religious choir softens the oppressive nature of the film's soundscape, comforting us in a distant, somber way. But this comfort is merely fleeting. We become deluged by the sound of electronic murmuring, disturbing mechanical howls of agony. Goldenthal's achievement is sublime, a score designed to embody Fincher's desire for a sound that made you know you were fucked from the moment of arrival. The cacophony of brass, the eerie, inhuman choir, the flicking of strings, all work wonderfully in creating, in my view, the richest score of the three films, of the entire franchise. A beautifully textured musical experience, filled with suspense and violence. A remarkable audio testament to the world of the alien and its bleak techno future. So why do I love this film? What is it about this conclusion to the tale of Ellen Ripley that captures my love and dear affection? Why do I still go back to it after so many viewings? The answer, like with everything, is complex. Alien 3's journey into conception was as troubled as any committed by a major motion picture studio to date. The endless rewrites and hirings and firings, for me, give the film a sort of mystique. The brutal production difficulties, the battles over creative control and direction, make the film a wonder simply for the fact that it was ever finished at all. David Fincher's unfortunate disowning of the film is more than understandable, and yet the 2003 cut serves only to exculpate him from any blame. We can see a glimmer of his original vision in this other version, and it more than serves justice in proving how wrong-headed the executives behind the many changes were. The film was one of the last of its scale to be shot completely photochemically, a tribute to the look that film can capture when done right. So many close-ups ooze the grainy majesty of what the Kodak 5296 film stock can achieve. Shot in the Panavision anamorphic format, the choice of lenses, the use of soft focus, of smoke, of steam, of dark and light, all remind us how special film is as a medium, how much time and effort went into creating such startling visuals. Even the awkward composite shots of the alien creature, brief that they are, add to the charm of the film's look. How sad it is that such a mode of filmmaking is now a rarity. For all of these reasons, and many, many more, Paul McGann's performance, Lance Henriksen's cameo, 85's running gag, to name but a few, makes Alien 3 one of my favourite films of all time. A reminder of how malleable science fiction as a genre can be in the hands of a genius director or two, with a brilliant production designer, cinematographer, editor, composer, and the countless others who contributed their talents into making this film as special as it is. Sigourney Weaver, for my money, gives her best performance as her career-making character, showing us the most vulnerable and complicated side to Ripley we've ever seen. The film's ending perfectly fits the tone of this dark universe, a solemn, bittersweet finale that successfully concludes what surely must be considered one of the few great film trilogies that exists to this day. Though misunderstood at release, Alien 3's legacy is truly one of redemption, that provides for us the richest exploration of its hero and the best looking world for them to suffer and succeed in. This is why I love Alien 3. Also, guys, it just looks amazing. This film looks amazing. It looks great.